Hi, my name is Egle Rindzeviciute, and I'm originally from Lithuania. I did my PhD in Sweden 4 years ago, and right now I'm employed as researcher at Sciences Po in Paris. So this is a very big question, because you may just as well ask, why do we need history as such? I think that in relation to globalization, history has a particular role to perform. To start with, because globalization is such a contemporary phenomenon, or we think about it in a rather presentist terms. It's something that is happening right here and right now, and it influences so very many people. So I think it is very important to look historically at where does this process come from. And especially to look at what particular roles were played by governments, businesses, but also various social groups and cultures at different stages of globalization. I think as history as such, looking at the historical aspects of globalization may help to understand us where do we come from and why have we arrived to current state in present shape. And well, as with any historical research, I think that it can give us inspiration as to what to do with the future. That's a really very good question indeed, and that's exactly what I am trying to examine in my work, which is still in progress. First, I think there is a very obvious techno-scientific progress, which was a component of Cold War arms race, as the superpowers were competing to outperform each other technologically. Some of the major technologies were developed, and as examples we can give space satellites, and of course the internet, which you would think is indispensable to anyone who wants to govern or circulate information transnationally. Another important aspect of Cold War history is that although it was a rather deep confrontation between two opposing regimes, capitalism and communism, just exactly because of this confrontation, there was a very clear understanding that there was a need to develop new types of institutions that would enable collaboration that would be not political. So we have emergence of new types of scientific institutions, for example, such as CERN in Switzerland, which is very famous now, or for example, a less known institution, the International Institute of Applied Systems Analysis in Austria, which has done systems research and developed a theoretical approach which allowed to conceptualize the whole world as one system. So I think this institutional heritage is also an important part of the Cold War. First of all, I would like to say a couple of words about my research project and what do I actually do. So my work is part of a larger international and collaboration. It's a research project which is funded by the European Research Council and directed by researcher Jenny Anderson at Sciences Po in Paris. And as a project team, we are looking into the history of various scientific approaches which were designed with the aim to govern or influence future. So what we study the development of various technologies of future predictions, such as forecasting, future scenarios, special methods of using experts in order to guess future trends. And that is a very interesting, very contemporary component of modern governance. Now, why is it important to study this particular aspect, the concern with the future? This is because that right now, as it has been made in this conference, and it's quite obvious to anyone who is involved in policy making or management, that today it's very difficult to imagine that you could govern without using a number of scientific instruments or techniques. So we want to have control indicators, we want to have indexes, we want to have ranking, we want to have large data sets, we want to be able to forecast trends of the future markets, of future populations, of future energy resources. And this is all science and scientific experts who are called in to help to devise both instruments and the data about the world and its future. So I think if you focus on exactly this process, the history of scientific expertise that is concerned with the future for the purposes of governance, historically, it will help us to understand, to start with the institutional conditions, but also power conditions in the production of scientific knowledge with the purpose of governance. And it might raise very interesting questions why certain scientific approaches are considered to be as more authoritative or more powerful. How come that statistics and statisticians often have a bigger say, they are more listened by the governments than, for example, anthropologists or ethnographers. So looking into the history of emergent scientific expertise about the future, we can learn a lot about how our contemporary political and policy and managerial systems function and why they prefer certain scientific instruments to others. So that's my hope, that my research might contribute to developing that topic.